Welcome to the Entrepreneur Show. Today's guest is Nikki Boyer, actor, TV host, podcaster, and entrepreneur extraordinaire. I am Heidi Richards Mooney, founder of Women in E-Commerce and host of the Entrepreneur Show. It is my pleasure to bring you today's program. First, let me tell you a little bit about Nikki. Nikki is a vibrant, comedic, on-camera personality who is labeled as the girl next door with a little edge. Okay, maybe more than a little, and a very eclectic career. Nikki is a three-time Emmy award-winning TV host who made her mark as the host Yahoo's Daytime in no time, making her the most watched woman on the web with over 700 million clicks during her time there. Wow. In addition to a versatile acting career, Nikki writes and directs music video parodies for Electus, Yahoo, and Awesomeness TV. Her most recent Taylor Swift parody, Bad Blood Test, reached a whopping 75 million clicks on her own YouTube channel. Oh my gosh, I need to watch that. Before becoming the face of Internet's most watched daily web show, Nikki was an angel for women everywhere in America as the host of TLC's popular ambush show, Perfect Proposal, where she helped men plot how to pop the question. Between hosting gigs, Nikki maintains an acting career with appearances in Gilmore Girls, Angie Tribeca, 90210, and many others. She is currently the host of Wondery's new series, The Daily Smile, where she brings you stories that will make you feel good each weekday morning, with interviews, inspiring clips, and chats with special guests and passionate friends. The Daily Smile takes you on a journey into goodness, gives you all the feels, and will leave you with a smile on your face. Nikki currently lives in LA with her insanely oversized dog, Bernadette. Got to know what kind of dog that is. She manages to still have room in her home for her amazing boyfriend and his two daughters. She's what we like to call an Insta mom. Welcome, Nikki.
Hi. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for having me. So funny hearing all these things that I've done read by someone else. It's kind of like, oh yeah, that's nice. Oh yeah, I've done that. Oh yeah, I did that too. Thank you for that beautiful intro.
Wow. Well, it's my pleasure. I mean, I got it from your PR person, so I just kind of embellished a little bit as far as the high points that I felt were so important. For instance, having being an Insta mom, that's kind of a cool term. And I imagine you came up with that yourself.
I did. When I first started dating my boyfriend, and I realized that, I had two little girls. They were, at the time when we started dating, they were, I think, 3 and 6, 3.5, 6.5. And I was, we're not married, so I'm technically not their stepmom, but technically and I'm not their mom. So I was like, what am I? And I was like, oh, I'll be the Insta mom.
I love
that works.
I love that. Well, you play the role of a mother in the fact that you are there for guidance and support. So
For
that's
sure.
in my opinion. Yes. So what about this big dog, this oversized dog? What kind of dog is it?
She's my heart. I have a ginormous Saint Bernard. She's almost 10, so she is a senior. She is just the sweetest, most loving creature I've ever met. All she wants to do, I wish she was here. She's in the other room. She just wants to be near you. She wants to be next to you. She wants to be touching you. She wants to be loved on. She's one of the sweetest little pups. She's not little. One of the sweetest big pups I've ever had. She's just the best. But her name's Bernadette. We call her Bernie.
Oh, I love it. I have a dog named Jack, and he was supposed to only weigh 50 pounds. He weighs 90. And he's an American Bulldog, Boxer Pit Bull mix, and he's like Bernadette. He would probably love Bernadette. He's very lovable.
I love that. Jack? You said Jack?
That's his name, Jack. I wanted to call him Jake, but my husband said, no, he's a Jack. And he's right. Jack fits his personality because he's he's easygoing and kind of goofy and fun-loving and lazy.
I love it.
Anyway, we love our dogs, right? It's great. So Nikki, with all you have going on, how do you find time for a personal life?
That's a great question. That is such a good question. I'm really conscientious about my time. I know that I work a lot, but let's be honest. What I do for work is really fun. It's really social. I get to tell stories. I get to talk to people. Get to connect with people. So for me, yes, it is work, but at the same time, I'm doing what I love. So it doesn't feel like the normal 9 to 5 going into an office, which none of us are really doing that much of right now. But I mean, the normal 9 to 5 day to day, working a 40-hour work week, I may work more than 40 hours, but it's always doing something that I enjoy. But in terms of my weekends, I really cherish my weekends. I love to just chill, like relax, hang out. And then when I get a chance to, I like to travel a little bit here and there. So I try to make the most of my time when I do have it. But I always do keep in mind that when I am working and I am kind of grinding, I definitely keep in mind that I'm getting to do something that I absolutely love. So it's kind of a win-win.
Oh, I love the saying that when you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. I think it's
Yeah, I
so
love that
true.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been a virtual business owner for since 2001, and I'll tell you, I this is not new for me. Although the new part for me is, wearing the mask, not being
Right.
able to go to places, and the hardest part for me, and I'm sure you have a similar experience, is that you just can't hug your friends. I mean, I'm a hugger, and it's so hard.
Me too.
Huh.
Yes. I know
So
that
let's
feeling.
so let's talk about your podcast. I want to know
Okay.
about it and why you got into it, because I think that's really what is on most people's minds, or at least the first thing on our minds right now.
So I got to team up with Wondery, who created The Daily Smile. And I teamed up with them originally because I did a podcast about my best friend, Molly, who ended up passing away from stage 4 breast cancer. And
Sorry.
thank you. Thanks for saying that. She had a really unique experience. She wanted to sort of experience life in her own way. And so the podcast is called Dying for Sex. So it's about sort of reclaiming her sexual life and her body while she was dealing with cancer and what that was like for her. So she did something really bold. She left her husband, she left her relationship, and she went out on a sexual journey to sort of get some answers about who she was and what she wanted to do with the time that she had left. So that first podcast that I did, Dying for Sex, I did with Wondery. It's a 6-episode series. It's really beautiful. It's not just about sex. It's about life. It's about adversity, overcoming adversity, and it's a really beautiful story. So once I did that with Wondery, I just knew I wanted to work with them again. I just didn't know how. So when they approached me and said, this was pre-quarantine, that they wanted to do a show called The Daily Smile and that it was about positive news stories, I was like, ding, 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 this is so up my alley. So I couldn't wait to be a part of it, and I'm loving it. The producers and Wondery and I are coming together and creating these great little 10-minute news stories, whether it's highlighting something really positive, a touching or a moving stories, maybe something really quirky and funny. But at the end of the day, these stories will hopefully bring a smile to your face. And we think it's a nice way to start your day. So it's Monday through Friday, and it's called The Daily Smile. And it kind of just organically and naturally happened. And I couldn't be more proud to be the voice and the face of such a great show during a time when I feel like we really need it.
So what are some of the stories that you've shared that have really touched you, or you feel are, I'm sure that all of them are. I've listened to a couple of them and I think they're just amazing.
Yeah.
But what are some of your
Oh, thank
favorites?
you. Well, we have a couple coming up that I can tease that I think are going to be really fun. We have one about a father that's a marathon runner, and it's funny because I don't like to run. Like, running is not my thing. Like, I would rather do anything other than run. Right. So I always found runners to be so interesting. Like, why do you do it? And then when I got to dig in and talk to this gentleman about why he was doing these marathons, it was in honor of his son. And when you hear his story, it just sort of taps you into um, why people do what they do, what gets people up and moving each day, how people deal with sadness and grief in their life. And when you can take something that is so tragic and so horrible that happens to you, and you can flip it, right? And you can
Mm-hmm.
turn it into something good and give back and use your son's memory as a way to be a positive force in the world, man, that just gets me right in the feels. So we have that story coming up, which I can't wait for you to hear. And then I also really loved the story that we did, it was our premiere episode about the drone, if
Yes.
the drone cameras. So the gentleman in Brooklyn during quarantine really wanted to connect with the girl who lived across the street. Now in Brooklyn, they're high-rise buildings. And so he was on his balcony and he noticed a woman on the opposite side of the street dancing on her rooftop. And he just thought she was so quirky and fun. And he wanted to ask her on a date. So he took his drone, he flew his drone over with his phone number attached to the bottom of the drone, dropped it off to her, asked her on a date, and they had a social distance date from her rooftop and his balcony. And they got to know each other. And the story gets even
Wow.
better. I won't spoil it, but you should listen. And so we
Yes.
featured that story. And that just, I don't know, it made me smile, because in these times right now, when you're craving connection, we have to sort of think outside of the box. He kind of thinks outside of the bubble, which you'll understand if you listen to the episode, which is really
Right.
cool. So those stories I just love. I just love stories about human connection. I think those are fun.
Well, the name infers that it's just such a something that's uplifting anyway, the Daily Smile. I mean, come on. Who doesn't
Right.
want to smile every day, even when and especially now with what's going on and so many people suffering.
Yeah.
I feel guilty that there are so many people suffering and I'm just maintaining. I don't want to say I'm thriving or anything, but I feel very fortunate. And I know
No.
that so many people, even the people I know, and some of the people who've worked with me, I do a lot with virtual and outsourcing support. So I've not had to worry about having employees, but I know the people who do work for other companies and it depend on that. It's
Right.
affected them a lot and everything. So that's a great show, and I can't wait to really, you know, help spread the word and get people to listen
Thank
to it so
you.
that they can feel something powerful and positive, in the morning, so that when they get to do what they have to do, they're going to be in a better mood for it, right?
Absolutely. I think
Yeah,
I think the way that we start our days is important. And if you can
yeah.
start with just an uplifting news story, it kind of carries you through the day. And if you listen to it and you like the story, then you end up sharing it with somebody that you're talking to, and then they share it with somebody that they happen to talk to. I love this kind of ripple effect that it can create.
Yeah.
And right now, I mean, when I turn on the news, I get really sad. I get
Mhm.
overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And I think that's important to understand what's going on in the world and to be really aware of how many people are sick and how many people are dying. I think that's important. I don't think we should ignore that by any means. That is
No.
a big part of what's happening. But I also think we need to find the balance of there still is good in the world. There still are
Right.
beautiful stories being told. And so I hope that we can help create a little bit of a balance.
We'll need one called the Nightly Smile too, because what I found, I don't, but a lot of people watch the news before they go to bed, and I'm sure that they were
Right.
all
Yeah.
disturbed. And I don't, because I learned a long time ago, if you do that, I would toss and turn. I would be so disturbed over it. So,
I
but
know.
I listen. I either read something motivational or watch something funny. One of my
No,
favorite
that's a
shows
really
is Big
good.
Bang Theory. I
Yeah,
watch that at
yeah.
night. You know, stupid stuff but fun, Friends, any of those old shows that are out there. I don't know about any of the new stuff because I don't really watch a lot of that at night, but certainly. So let's talk about how your career led you to this point.
It's as a when I was growing up in St. Louis, and I got lucky enough to be a part of a television show at a very young age. So my first real job at the age of 15, I was hosting the cartoons basically
Wow.
for the WB affiliate back in St. Louis. So working in television has always just been a passion of mine, something that I love to do. And I was lucky enough to get that job as a kid. So I was kind of the cartoon girl. So then when I moved from St. Louis to Los Angeles and decided to just continue that career, I had a lot of support. I had a lot of experience under my belt being so young. Um, but I still came out to LA and still decided to do what every actor does, wait
Mhm.
tables, right? To try to make a living, meeting casting directors. I did all of the things that you're supposed to do. And
Yeah.
I've had a really great career. I've been so fortunate to always be able to find work. You know, like I think about when they say the term making it in the business, and you see that top 3% say that that's, making huge blockbuster movies and selling millions of dollars of, this and that. But I really sometimes look at the tier below that, the people that are making a steady, solid living, feeding their families by doing, whether it's on camera work, behind the camera work, craft services, like whatever you're doing in the entertainment world. I think if you can figure out a way to do what you love, like we said earlier, and still be able to make a good living, I think that's making it. Like that to me is making it. So I've always had that mindset that, even though I'm not, doing big blockbuster movies, that I'm still a big part of storytelling. So as I've gotten older, and wiser and less ego driven, I've just kind of learned that this is my path and this is what I love. But it's always been on camera work or voiceover work or hosting or acting. And I like doing it all, and music too. So anytime an opportunity presents itself, I just kind of go straight for it and do it. And I've been really fortunate because now here I am hosting podcasts and getting to be in people's ears every day during this quarantine time. And it's an honor to be the person that gets to tell stories. Like I get to share a story with you. Like we feel connected now because we've, spent time together, even though, I'm the host of the podcast and you're the person listening, but I feel very connected to the people that are listening.
And I can just tell by your demeanor and how you speak that I'm sure that all of your audience feels the same way. You wouldn't have the #1 podcast and all of those wonderful things that we talked about early on if it weren't for your personality. So, the fact that you're a giver is important. So thank you for giving. Thank you for what you're doing because it's really making a difference. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for saying that. That means more to me than anything, honestly, because it's crazy times right now,
Yeah,
and I'm just grateful that I get to be a little crack of light in all of that, and I hope people are enjoying the show.
Well, I think they are, and I think they will continue to. I don't know if I told Nicole this early before, but I have not really done a lot with interviewing celebrities or famous people in the past, and it's because my own mindset. I wanted to interview ordinary women leading extraordinary lives. But what it's come down to for me over the years and learning is that we're all basically ordinary people living extraordinary lives. It doesn't matter. It just your job has nothing to do with who you are as a person. So I've kind of changed that mindset, and you are a big reason, you and women like you. So thank you, Nikki, for being so down to earth and everything. And I'm just thrilled that I got this opportunity.
Thank you. That really means a lot to me. And we're all in this together, right? We all put our pants on one leg at a time. We all make mistakes. We all have dreams and goals. Sometimes our life doesn't exactly pan out exactly how we thought it would or how we hoped it would when we were younger. But I think the goal is to be really present for the life that you do have and be really grateful for the life you do have, and be okay with, pivoting. That's my favorite thing, is to pivot.
Right?
Like this isn't working out. Okay, let's pivot. What do we do now? Let's figure out the next thing. Like that's life. Life is messy. So thanks for saying that. That's actually really, really nice compliment.
Well, and one of my favorite sayings is just go with it. Just like the movie. I mean, really, sometimes you go down a path you don't expect, like you said, and it leads you to someplace even better than you could have imagined. So
totally.
For all those listening, I hope that you get that message today. So what's been the most memorable part of your career so far, Nikki?
Ooh, that's a really good question. For me, I'm such a family person. Like I really have a great partner. I have a great family. I'm very close to my cousins and my aunts and my uncles, like from back in St. Louis. So when I get an opportunity to merge the worlds of what I'm doing for work and merge the worlds of my family, that's some of my favorites. So when I get to bring my mom out to LA to do something and she gets to come on set with me or be a part of my life, like I love to merge those worlds. And I know that people, even if you have, a quote unquote non-glamorous job, I think it's really important for the people in your family to see what you do day to day, to understand what you do for work, because work, you should, you know, that work to live or live to work mentality. Like if you're spending so much time of your day working, and you love what you do, I feel like let your family in on that. Let people know what you do and what your life is like. So I've just really learned to let people in on that. And the funny thing is, on the Daily Smile podcast, I'm now interviewing some of my family members. Like I pulled in my mom for something, then I pulled in my Aunt Jackie, and then I'm going to pull in my best friend from college. And I love merging the world. So some of my favorite memories of this business are being able to do that, like bring my family along for the ride, the career ride that I'm going on. And I'm lucky to be able to do that. So those are my favorite kinds of moments.
That's wonderful. It reminds me when my children were little, I used to drag them to, I have a flower shop and have for 38 years.
Oh, that's
And I would
amazing.
drag them to work every day. And, you know, at first they hated it, but it taught them to be entrepreneurs. They both have very successful businesses of their own. And I don't know that that would have happened had they not had that experience. So I think you do your family a favor. Plus, it takes a mystery out of it. Then they know that you're, you know, you have challenges outside the home, you know?
Absolutely. No, you're right.
So
That's a
it's
good point,
great.
taking the mystery out. And I
Yeah.
do love that you brought the kids to the flower shop. Like I think it's really, first of all, I love flowers. I'm obsessed with flower
Me
shops.
too.
Like, oh my gosh. What's your favorite flower though?
Oh, you know, well, I've always loved a lily because my middle name is
Hmm.
Susan, and Susan means lily, and lily means honor. So I just think it's a cool flower, but I love all flowers. I mean, peonies are probably my favorite just
That's
because
my
they're like
favorite.
so
Yeah,
freaking big and beautiful. But
I know.
yeah, yeah. So you love peonies. Yeah, I think most women I know I talk to, if they've ever seen a peony in person, they love them.
They're so
I love
beautiful.
roses. I grow roses as well. So roses are just, yeah, I
I
love them
just
all.
love flowers. But I know I do too. You give me any flower and I'm like, thank you.
Right?
But I do love that you brought the kids to the flower shop, because when I was little, my aunt and my mom worked in a hair salon. And so some of my first memories were of sweeping the hair and getting coffee for the ladies and answering the phone. And so I loved the idea of being an entrepreneur. And I think watching the women in my family work and really like create their own little mini businesses on the side. Really, it's funny. I don't know if I ever really thought about that fully until you just mentioned it right
Wow.
now, that the women in my life have really shown me that, like, if you want something, you work for it and you go
Yeah.
get it and do it.
Yeah.
Right.
And they obviously enjoyed it or they wouldn't have taken you along,
Right. Exactly.
you know?
Exactly. Yeah.
So, so,
Yeah.
so what one thing would you like to do in your career that you have not
Mm.
yet done?
Ooh, that's a good one. I love these questions. You get my brain going.
Good,
I think
good.
for me, I would love to create and executive produce like a really amazing episodic television show.
Ooh,
The kind of
I'll
shows,
watch
you
it.
know, when you binge watch and you just get
Uh-huh.
lost, right? Okay, yay, good.
Yeah.
When you
Netflix
binge,
is
you know, when
my
you binge a
favorite
show,
station.
okay, that's
Yeah.
what I want. That's what I want to do. I want you and your friends to sit down and just sit on the couch and enjoy something that I've created, a story that I can tell and that will be interesting and engaging. But what I love about storytelling is it's not just about entertaining people. It's about making you reflect on your own life, just look at life through a different lens. I love the power of TV and film. And I think, I do think that after this quarantine, we're going to get some really magical types of TV shows and stories that are being told, because people are craving them so much.
Yes, yes.
And I think, yeah, that's what I'd like to do. I'd like to executive produce a show and really make something that's binge worthy.
Excellent. Look, watch out, Shonda Rhimes. Here comes Nikki
Right.
Boyer.
Right.
That's the only woman producer I can think of. I'm sure there's tons of them,
I
but
know.
I know because I watch all her shows. I love her.
Right. Me
Um,
too. Me too.
so what's next for you?
Well, right now I'm doing actually the Dying for Sex podcast is finished, but we just completed 3 episodes called Living for Connection that
Ooh,
are about, even though it's under the Dying for Sex stream on Wondery's podcast, the Living for Connection episodes are about what it's like during quarantine for people that are finding unconventional ways to connect, right? As humans, as communities, as parents, as children, as lovers, all of that. So those 3 episodes are out. I think that actually came out today, the last episode. So I'm finished with that. And then doing the Daily Smile is really definitely like a big chunk of my life because it's a daily show. And then I'm also still trying to, get the Dying for Sex brand out there. And then I also host another podcast every week. It is really special. It's Straight Talk with Ross Matthews, and he is a wonderful friend of mine. And so we have a weekly podcast that we do. And then finally,
Wow.
I'm also a life coach. So I have been helping people through this time. I'm a certified life coach, and I have my own business. Now that I say this out loud, I'm like, I have my hand in a lot of pots here, which is great. But I'm also a life coach. So I am helping people with accountability, figure out what they want to do in their lives, figure out how they want to move forward, practicing vulnerability, practicing accountability, communication. And I really love partnering up with people and helping them sort of just basically say, what do you want out of your life? And what are we going to do to make that happen? Because you really hold the cards. So I love doing life coaching. It's been nice. So that's what I've got going on.
Wow. And that's such a wonderful thing because you can help so many people doing that. The people that sometimes people don't know they need help until they stumble upon someone like you. And then they're like, wow, where have you been all my life?
Yeah. Thanks for saying that. I feel that way with the clients that I have. A lot of them have never gone to therapy at all.
No.
It's, just scary. And I think when they say things to me like, I didn't know this existed and I wished I would have found it, years ago. And I always say, you find it when you're meant to and when you're ready for it. Yep. And I'm so glad that people open up themselves to me. It's, even though I'm the quote unquote coach, I really do feel like it's a two-way street. And I learned so much about life through my clients as well. It's really rewarding and I love it. And I'm hoping to do that. I'm hoping to be able to do that really for the rest of my life because, the entertainment business can be fickle. And as I approach my 45th birthday, I think,
wow, you look so young.
What do I want to do when I grow up? Oh God, thank you. It's the red lipstick.
I would have never guessed.
Trust me,
I would have never guessed. You're beautiful.
But as I'm getting older, I'm like, what do I want to do when I grow up? I don't know. And so life coaching for me is just, it merges the worlds of connecting with people and helping people and also figuring out something that can sustain me in the later years of my life. And I think life coaching really to me feels like a good avenue. So yeah, I think that's what I'll do when I grow up.
Well, it's beautiful to know that you and women like you are so multifaceted and have so many interests and can do so many different things. Not that you want to do it all at one time, but that you can do it and balance all those different aspects of who you are. The life coaching to me, I wish I'd have found it earlier, but I guess I wasn't ready for it because I was always averse to therapy, thinking that it was not a good thing, that if you were in therapy, there was something wrong with you. Whereas when you talk about life coaching, it really is a form of therapy if you want to really get down to it. But the fact is that when people go to a life coach, they can tell other people. When they go to a therapist, they don't tell anybody, So
that's so funny.
It is.
Yeah, the stigma of therapy, I think, is lessening.
Stigma.
I think when I meet someone who's never gone to therapy, I go, what's wrong with this picture? I think therapy is just becoming we all have something to work on. We're all carrying some sort of baggage. Trust me, and I think it's amazing. I think working on your own stuff and being willing to say, this is what I'd like to improve upon. I think it's a really brave thing to do. So I'm all pro therapy. I love it.
That's wonderful. So, any last words of advice? Oh no, before we do, tell us, do you have one or two, you were mentioning about the wrap up of your Dying for Sex, the last 3 issues. Is there one story that stands out for you that you can share, or they are not yet launched that you don't want to?
Oh no, I think all 3 of them are launched as of today. Thanks for asking
to hear that.
Yeah, they are. The first episode focuses on dating in the quarantine and what it's like to date. right? Like, how do you
Right.
date? You just like basically what you and I are doing. This is how people are dating now, which is fascinating. And the second one is about being with your loved ones 24/7. And then the third episode is more about community and how we create a sense of community during a time when we're all sort of on lockdown. So there are 3 episodes. They're really worth listening to. And I've gotten a lot of
Definitely.
great feedback from people saying, thank you for doing these episodes, Living for Connection, because they're really making me feel less alone. And I think my favorite one is this woman who really reveals, she's really honest. I think it's in episode 2 where she gets really honest about what it's like sharing her space 24/7 with the man that she loves. She loves him, but she did say there are moments where I feel like I want to kill him. And she's very funny about it. And I love her. And so she finds this escape world and this new game that everybody's playing called Animal Crossing. Have you heard of that?
No, I have not.
Okay, it's a game. It's like a virtual game where you create an island and you're a little animal and you like buy things and create things and build things. It's very, it's very, I think it helps pass the time and it's very positive and keeps your mind occupied. So she started playing this game and then her husband jumped in and started playing and invaded her island. And
Oh
she
no.
was so mad. She was like, this is my island. And hearing her tell the story and what they came to at the end of this experience together is so funny and so real. And I love that she was just so real about how much she loves him, but about how living with someone 24/7 during this quarantine can make you a little crazy. So there's all kinds of stories, but that one actually, every time I listen back to it, she makes me laugh out loud because I think we've all had those moments with the people we love where we're like, why are you chewing so loud? Do you always make that noise? Don't you have somewhere to go?
Oh
Can
my
you
gosh, I
leave
can
for
hear my
5 minutes?
husband chewing across the living room. It's just the funniest thing. And it's like, now I get it. Everybody's having that experience.
See, you feel
Oh,
less
that's
alone. So listen,
funny.
that was one of my
That's funny.
favorites. Yeah.
I'll definitely, I make grocery lists for my husband just to get him out of the house for an hour. So I feel like I'm not, I seriously, he loves to shop because he's a social animal and he talks to everybody, even with his mask on. And I'm the kind of person that I go in, I'm in and out in 5 minutes. He's like,
Yeah.
you got everything? I'm like, yeah. And he's gone an hour down the street. So I love it.
I know.
So I make him grocery lists. So, and he knows
Love
I do
it.
it and he doesn't care because he'd rather
No,
do
he's
that
like,
than,
great. This is great. This is my social outing. Oh my God, I love that. That's so cute. Yeah. We're all different. We're all different creatures during this time, but yeah.
Exactly. So any last thoughts, Nikki? Any other words you'd like to share with our listeners before we go?
Oh, I've loved this, by the way. This has been great. You're so much fun to talk to. It's brightened
Thank
up my
you.
day.
Thank you.
For me, I think during this time, like cutting yourself a little bit of slack, I think everyone thinks they need to be doing and cleaning and working and look at all this time we have in our hands. And I would just say, cut yourself a little slack. And if you're having a day where you just don't feel like doing it, to give yourself that permission to not. But when you do feel the moments of being inspired or excited or like you've got the energy, I say lean into that, right? Start a project if you want. You don't have to finish it in a day. It doesn't have to be perfect. Like just cut yourself a little slack and be really present to the feelings that you're having and just honor where you are. So if you're tired, you're exhausted, you want to binge watch a show, do it. If you get up and you want to clean out your spice rack and do the laundry, do it. But be okay with being exactly where you are, because right now is just a time for some self-compassion because this is rough. This is intense. And think about, I think one really important thing that I've learned is that I like to fast forward the tape sometimes. Like I'm really about being present, but sometimes I fast forward and I say, when I look back at this interesting time that we're in, what do I want to say that I got out of it?
Right.
And so be really mindful of like, what do you want to get out of this time? And be clear about that. It could be something small and it could be something huge, but whatever that is, just be clear about what that is and be okay with that. If you want more time with family, you want to connect with family more, you want to read more, or maybe you just don't want to do much of anything. That's okay too. But think about how you feel when you look back on this time.
It's all okay. And thank you so much. This has been just amazing. So the last question I have, thank you,
Okay.
is how our audience can listen to the Daily Smile and any other properties you'd like to share, like website, whatever, so that we can
Yeah.
feel connected to you after the show, our show's over.
Please connect with me. I love hearing from everyone. So if you DM me or you reach out, I always respond. I love that. It's my favorite part of doing this is staying connected. But I'm on Instagram at Nikki Boyer, NIKKIBOYER. And that's the same for Twitter, Facebook. And then if you want to listen to Dying for Sex, that's at Wondery. So you can, anywhere you listen to your podcast, you can listen to Dying for Sex. That's where Living for Connection is as well. So you'll find it there. And then the Daily Smile is also available on Wondery or wherever you listen to your podcasts. But if you follow me on social, I'm always linking to everything that I'm doing and keeping you guys posted on what's coming up. But if you need a little brightness in your day and you feel like, hey, I need a good news story to get me moving, just take a listen while you're doing the dishes or while you're cooking. Just, put your earbuds in and take a listen to the podcast. I think it'll really help.
Well, and they're so brief. I mean, 10 minutes, I almost wish they were longer,
Right.
so 10 minutes is easy for
Yeah.
most people. I think that's so wise the way you set it up. The stories are amazing, and I really am excited. I want to just thank you, Nikki, for taking time
Oh,
out of your busy day, because even though we're all in quarantine, we all have things we have to do that we want to get
yeah.
done in a day. And so taking time out of your day to be with us on the Entrepreneur Show has been
Yeah.
a pleasure. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It was my pleasure. I love talking. So I love chatting and connecting with you. Thanks for having me on.
You're welcome. And for those of you listening, if you want to share this show with your friends, colleagues, and business associates, send them to the entrepreneurshow.com. Thank you, Nikki,
Mwah. Thank you. Bye.
for being with us. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.